Good morning, YouTubers and fellow video watchers. This is your buddy Choppadong once again coming at you with another topic that hit me in the middle of the night last night that I wanted to get discussed. I was asked again by a VIP in the DFS Army about uh, how I build for GPPs and cash games and how many low ownership plays should I take, and it kind of got me thinking. Ownership is overrated. And I'll get into that topic in just a minute. It's a very unpopular opinion of mine, I'm sure, but I have the math to back it up, and I have some examples to show you guys that if you're using ownership as a priority in choosing a player, it leads you down a suboptimal path, and you just forget it, man. Ownership stinks. I'm trying to keep the language clean here because I really want to drop some F-bombs on you, but some of you guys might be listening to this at work, so I will try to keep it a little bit toned down, a little bit more professional, a little bit mellow for you. But the other thing that I want to cover really quick is a little bit of housekeeping notes. I am a coach and contributor inside the DFS Army. DFSArmy.com is the place to go. You can also find me out on Twitter at Choppadong, my name right here. Give me a follow. Go down to the bottom of the video here, click a like, click a subscribe, whatever. Get the content that I put out. I'm going to do this hopefully a little more freely throughout the weeks, and honestly, when an idea pops into my head, I just tend to put it in a 10 or 15-minute video. It's a quick and easy way to get information out to everybody. Looking over the DFS Army website, if you're not a member yet, you seriously need to consider joining. Our Slack forums, our community is incredible. They're always asking questions. We're always explaining things in more detail. We're always trying to get the best tools to them, the optimizers, the projections, everything that we have to offer. I don't think enough people know that the DFS Army is a one-stop shop now. We have our own tools, we have our own optimizer, we have our own content, and we have our own one-on-one coaching. That's something you don't find everywhere. I swear to you, you cannot find a group of people more willing to work with you one on one. It's yes, some people are starting to say it. They're copying us a little bit and trying to do what we're doing, and that's great. That's a form of flattery, but they still can't duplicate it, especially for the price and the value that we bring to you at dfsarmy.com. So run down to the description, click the link, contemplate joining the DFS Army. If you do, use the coupon code CHOP, CHOP. 20% discount life of your membership. There's no better way to go. I promise you that. I was going to walk you through a little bit of articles, but you can find this, the Wishbone. You can find that out on Twitter, and you can also find it at dfsarmy.com. Obviously, I did a recap video. That one has seen some good reviews from some people. We have a new primer, a head-to-head basic strategy primer for DFS for play draft that a lot of people have requested. This is out now. This is a great article. I just read through it this morning, and UW did an awesome job at explaining it. We also have strategy. We have slate breakdowns. We have the free squares by Alvarez. We have Walsh's wingmen. We have GPP theory by Keith, still going in baseball. We have NASCAR. We have PGA. We have every damn sport covered. Okay. The optimization tool, Domination Station, I'll give you a quick peek of it, only because it's the most customizable tool known to mankind. You've got yourself Draftkings and NFL. You pick your slate. Let's say we want to run the early only. It'll cut down the number of games for us to those that are on the early only slate. If I want to pick my own players, and I can import my own projections if I want to. When Friday late week comes, we have our own projected ownership. I must say it's been pretty good. You can control your own exposure to your own players. You can stack teams. You can stack positions. This tool is as customizable and as overwhelming as you want it to be, or as simple as you want it to be. If you're like me, you uncheck the boxes and come down here. You click quarterback. Maybe you like Tom Brady, Matt Ryan. Maybe you like Jay Cutler, Carson Wentz. Maybe those are your players. You want to keep those. Let's say I don't want Brady in any more than half of my lineups. I set that to 50. Maybe I want to lock Matt Ryan in. I can do that too. If I run down to the running backs and I like Bell, and I like Devonta Freeman, and I like Dalvin Cook, and C.J. Anderson, and Tariq Cohen, and Theo Riddick, Lamar, I might not need to go much lower than that personally. I cut into the wide receiver tab, and quickly I start selecting from Antonio Brown, Brandon Cooks, Golden Tate, Maybe I like DeAndre Hopkins, Chris Hogan, Emmanuel Sanders. We keep scrolling down this list. I see Thielen, Galladay, Sanu, but I don't want Sanu in more than, say, 50% of my lineups. This is a customizable tool that allows me to run through what I want and where I want it and how I want it. And I run down over here to defense now, and Patriots, Steelers, Eagles, Atlanta Falcons, whatever. And I don't even know if these are week four's projections, but I'm just picking a few. Let's say I had a narrowed player pool and that's what I wanted. Now I run out here and let's say I want to make 25 lineups. I didn't select a very big player pool, 25 people, so let's see if it'll even let me do it. Unique players. This is how many players I want to switch up. If I want to keep my core at 4 or 5 players, then I might only select 2 unique players, or maybe 3. If I want a core of only 3 or 4 players, then I might select 5 unique players. And out of 25 lineups, I just go ahead and I click Optimize. Scroll down here, and as it's crunching the numbers and putting in the best projections for the best salaries, only 22 out of 25 teams, whatever, that's fine. I also often take this and sort it by fantasy points. I pull the top points to the best points to the top, the best lineups. Now I start looking. Now I've got my exposures controlled over here. I've got 55% of my lineups with CJ Anderson, 55% with Clay. If I go down to Mohamed Sanu, if he was going to be over 50% owned, which I don't see him in here, it would have said a 50 down here in the side column there. But now, if I look at Matt Ryan, Devonta Freeman, Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Hopkins, Emmanuel Sanders, there's Sanu with Freeman and Matt Ryan. Probably a little heavy for cash, but whatever. Ertz, CJ Anderson in the flex and the Philly Eagles. Now I run down here and I've got Carson Wentz mixed it up. Le'Veon, CJ Anderson in both lineups, DeAndre Hopkins in both lineups, Emmanuel Sanders in both lineups, Ertz in both lineups. But there's my unique players. Swap, 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 right? Carson Wentz again. Matt Ryan again, Carson Wentz again, Jay Cutler all of a sudden, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Carson Wentz. It likes Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan. Tom Brady with Le'Veon and Tariq Cohen, Dalvin Cook or C.J. Anderson, Hogan, Sanders, Sanu, Tate, Hopkins, Galladay, all completely different. Ertz, Clay, Rudolph, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. 2 completely different lineups. The commonality here is Tom Brady. Now I can use these to write these down on a piece of paper and control my exposures for my player pool. That's how this tool works in a nutshell. It's very, very quick. Use that with a lot of the tools that we have, including the research station here, which is where all of your statistics are compiled. And that's a quick look into the VIP program at DFS Army. If we dive into Fanduel, and I want to explain something. Actually, I'm going to call up the actual thing that I quoted for the guy when he asked about player ownership potential and how many low owned players am I looking for in a GPP. Now granted, I'm a cash guy, I'm not a GPP guy. Doesn't mean I don't play them, doesn't mean I don't know a little bit of the theory, doesn't mean I'm just not a GPP only guy. I'm not the guy that you're going to come to and say, how does this GPP lineup look? Because I'm going to tell you it looks great, because I've seen random crap happen in 20, 30, 50, 500,000 player GPPs. The winner usually is nuts with his lineup. It's off the wall and it's damn near perfect for the week. I don't play that way. I play on a very skill-based system that and yes, there's skill in GPPs, don't take me the wrong way. But a lot of times you need that random whack-ass player to go off to win you that GPP. It doesn't in the great big ones. In the smaller 1,000, 2,000 person tournaments, you don't need that. And you often find lower winning scores. It plays to me more into the skill aspect of the game, of selecting the right players and the best players for the value. Not taking some gamble on some dude who was on the practice squad 2 weeks ago, comes up today at minimum salary. I don't know anything about him. And yeah, let's throw him in there. And he goes off for 80 yards, 2 touchdowns or something like that and wins some dude. To me, that was a dart throw and you got lucky with it. So let's call a spade a spade. Ownership is about, and oftentimes the chalk, finding the chalk, and that's about narrowing down the best plays of the best plays. It doesn't mean a low ownership play is not a great play. It means, generally speaking, the people everybody recognizes, the people everybody is on, those are the solid plays. Those are your foundation. Now you build around that foundation. Let's say you like a quarterback, 3 quarterbacks and 6 running backs and 10 receivers and 3 tight ends, 3 defenses, 2 kickers, whatever. You've still got a ton of combinations. I'm not going to show you the math, but if you multiplied 3 times 6 times 10 times 3 times 3 times 2, there's a ton of combinations that you can run with that line, with just that player pool alone. And if that is the lineup that works and you selected that core well, then you're going to do well in your cash games and your triple ups and your small leagues and your small tournaments and things like that. You might be missing that one play that makes a difference. And I know I'm contradicting myself a little bit with this whole ownership diatribe, but I want to explain something to you. In week 1, I played both Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson together. Bell was 50% owned, Johnson was 50% owned. We all remember that. Johnson got hurt. Logic suggests that not everyone had them together. Math tells us how to figure that number out, and I confirmed this because I didn't know 100%, but I confirmed this with a math major buddy of mine. Might as well have a PhD in math if he doesn't already. The dude's insane. And I said, all I do is multiply 50% by 50%, right? And that tells me about, roughly how many people should have both, right? He said, yeah. 50 times 50 is 25%. So 25% should have been using them both in their lineups. And I went through Fanduel and I checked my cash contests. And 100-man contests, yes, damn near exactly 25% of the players used both. The other 25% used one or the other. And then some of the people faded them. Now, the other part of this is if I add a third player to that, because 50% is awfully chalky, especially to use 2 players, but I did cut it down to 25%. If I add another player that was 50% owned, well, I cut this in half again. I'm at 12.5%. I called it 13.5. Pardon my math. Like I said, I'm not the PhD. Cut it in half again with another 50% player. That's 4 50% players. Also can't spell. 4 50% players. And I've cut that down again to 6.75%, which we know is wrong because 13 was wrong. But you're getting the point. You cut it in half, you cut it in half, you cut it in half. If I rostered all 50% players in my roster, my number is going to be down inside 2% of a chance that I've duplicated my lineup with anybody that's using all of those players in their lineup too. Right? So you're still pretty unique if you do that. If I cut it down to a 100-player 50-50 or 100-player league or whatever, and only say 2%, that's only 2 of us that have the same lineup. And we used complete chalk. If I go down, and this is the ridiculous part of this, and yes, I did the math. If you're searching for low ownership as a priority, it often leads you in a suboptimal direction. Why? Yes, we know Aaron Rodgers is great. Yes, we know Tom Brady is great. You should roster them if you can afford them. The guy that goes down last week and says, I'm going to do Jacoby Brissett because he's low owned. No, that's not why you roster him. You roster him because he was playing Cleveland and he was at home and he was in a pretty good spot for his price. That's why you roster him, not, well, I'm looking for low owned players. No, that puts you on, the guys that, yes, occasionally go off, but in a lot of cases they don't. That puts you, well, everybody's going to be on J.J. Nelson, and everybody's going to be on Mohamed Sanu, and everybody's going to be on, the other cheap guy, and so I can't really take him. You know what I got to do? I got to pivot off to that third string guy over in Seattle, that Tyler Lockett guy. Guess what he did to you? Don't use that as your priority. Roster guys that are in great spots. That's the whole being contrarian thing. The true contrarians, the good contrarians, actually roster guys that are also in great spots. They're just being overlooked for whatever reason. And that's why those guys are very, very good GPP players. If you're just strictly looking for low ownership, you're doing it wrong. You might get lucky once in a while, but you're doing it wrong. You're not thinking about the spot the guy's in. And that's what you need to think about. When we're searching for lower ownership and it leads us in a suboptimal direction, here's why. If I wanted to take just literally the chalk and find the highest owned players at every position. Now, I'm not going to do it perfectly, but let's say that my quarterback was at 17%. I think we can all agree that's fairly high. Running backs at 64 and 37%. Golly, yeah, that's high. Wide receivers at 11, 23, and 18%. Pretty high. Tight end at 31%. Probably the chalk tight end that week. Kicker at 11%. Defense at 18%. Pretty chalky lineup. A lot of you are going to open this up and see the ownerships and go, man, what am I doing wrong? I suck. Not necessarily. Your goal is to have the best score. Your goal is to have a unique lineup that is not duplicated. That's it. That's your goal. Your goal, first and foremost, is to win. If 10 of us split the Millie Maker, who cares? We won it. We did better than the other guy. It doesn't matter if you play a 2-game slate and you split with 4,500 people. Great. You all had the nut lineup. Good for you. But you won more than the other guys. That's the idea here. When the guy wins the $500 million Powerball and splits it 3 ways with his bowling team, does he complain? Does he say, oh man, I should have had a unique number system. I should have picked that low-owned number 3. No! He says, I'm freaking rich! This is the same exact example that people are they're overthinking. They're going too far with it. So if we take that lineup and we multiply all of these percentages by each other, yes, it's a chalky lineup. You get a number. It was 1.125 to the -6th power. Means we move that decimal place over 5 or 6 times. And again, I'm not the math major, but this is going to be explaining a concept to you that is fairly close. I don't know if it's exactly right, and I apologize for other guys that are math nerdier than me out there, and believe me, I'm a nerd in a lot of other areas, but those guys that do the math thing, I'm sorry if I insult you with my stupidity here, but the concept is valid. The choice, the chance that you duplicated someone is right there. That's it. Move that decimal place all the way back over to here. You move it 6 times. You're at 11,250,000. There's a 1 in 11 million chance that you duplicated somebody's lineup with these percentages of your players. In short, pardon my French, but do that to your ownership. This was a chalky lineup. 1 in 11 million shot at being duplicated. It was unique. If it was the best lineup, it wins. I understand the theory of you need a lower ownership guy because you rocket up a leaderboard when he scores a touchdown. And that's true. But this is about winning. This is about winning the tournament. And to win the tournament, you need to have the best lineup. I don't care what its ownership is. As long as it's not duplicated, and even if it was, if I won a 20,000 person GPP for, $50,000 and I split it with one dude, so what? We still won. We're still touting that crap out on Twitter the next day going, look at us, look how good we are. Woohoo, come join our website. Speaking of which, dfsarmy.com. That, in short, is the idea. Okay, let me walk you through, since I'm tending to ramble and I'm having fun this morning. I've had a little too much coffee. We're going to dive into a concept from, a contest from a couple of weeks ago to show you don't duplicate your lineups. Now, why am I showing you my contests from 2 weeks ago? Because I sucked last week. Look, I'm a human. I don't want to show you my failures. I don't walk into a bar and pick the hot chick and go, hey, let's look at the wart on my butt. I don't do that. I say, I shower, I shave, I put on some good smelling cologne, and she doesn't get to see my flaws until we're buck-ass naked. Then it's too late. The lights are off, honey. Sorry. Again, my point, duplicated lineups. 117 was my score down here at the very bottom. I click my entry, and 17.44 and 17.38. I didn't tie anybody, did I? No. I can tell you my lineup was unique alone because it didn't even tie a score. Sometimes it'll tie a score and still be unique, and I'll show you an example here in a minute. But look, 10%, 26%, 15%, 12, 20, 5. Okay, I got lucky with Kendall Wright. He was a little lower owned by everybody else's numbers, but it didn't matter. I still had a unique lineup. It was mine and mine alone. Let's look at the winner. 157 points. Blew the field away by 6. Unique lineup. 3.9%. He had, but this isn't why he won, was because of the 3.9% guy. He got 8 points. He didn't even go off. I mean, the 4.1 helped, but the 3.9 didn't help. Really? He had a higher overall score. That's why he won. Stop thinking of ownership as your priority. Let's go into this contest. Let's go to my entries. 1,057th out of 12,000 people. Top 10% lineup. Not bad, right? 120.84. Tied 4 guys. Uh-oh. I didn't do my job. I didn't get a unique score. But did I have a unique lineup? Aaron Rodgers was my quarterback. Matt Ryan his. Unique. Aaron Rodgers, Marcus Mariota. Unique. Aaron Rodgers, Marcus Mariota, David Johnson, Todd Gurley, Amari Cooper. Unique. Different than mine. It's all that matters. My lineup was unique. 10%, 28, 20, 3.5% who didn't help me. 14, 16, 8%, 3% again who did help me, but did it help me win the tournament? No, it helped me get further up the leaderboard when I had some of these players in common with people, yes. But let's look again at the winning lineup. 159, won it outright. Unique lineup. Let's see, 1%. Okay, that probably helped him. But it didn't win it for him. Because this 5.6% didn't help him. You don't need that 0.2%. You don't need to be the only guy in the world on a guy. It does help when he goes off. That is very, very true. But it isn't the reason you win. The reason you win is because you had a unique score that went to the top of the leaderboards, period, end of story. Stop overthinking ownership. Okay? 130. Unique. Looking down. Chalk, 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 chalk. Oops, got one low owned guy. Chalk, chalk, pretty chalky. You know, and I was very unique in my lineup. I mean, what else do I got to tell you? And this is only 100 people. And remember, I mean, if I multiplied all these together, I don't even know what this would come up, but it would be worse than 1 in 11 million. I'm not duplicating lineups. I don't think about ownership. I'm not worried about ownership. You know, as I wrap this up and send you back to work, you know, inside 25 minutes today, I just wanted to let you know that ownership is helpful, but it should not be your priority. Stop thinking about ownership first. Stop thinking about some of these other, you know, things that you hear and you read about all the time, you know, about all of this correlation and all of this. It's all overused. In a lot of cases, those of us that learn these concepts preach about them, brag about them, and whatever else, but we don't fully explain them to you guys. That's why you need the DFS army. I mean, I can't say it enough, but we can go through one-on-one and explain these concepts until you understand them. That's what we're about. I can show you all of this in 20 minutes, and I can't nearly cover everything to teach you and show you what I want to help you learn. And I am not the best at this by far. I'm just a guy that thinks about it way too much. We have better coaches inside the Army than me. If you like my stuff, you'll love theirs. But you need to get off the fence and you need to give us a shot. You need to follow the links in this video and you need to come over to the VIP side. We have ways to get free trial offers, and it's all going to be linked in the article that you clicked on when you found me. I appreciate it. Once again, please head down to the bottom, give me a like, give me a subscription, give me a little thumbs up, and let me know that you like the content and that I'm helping you. That's why I do this. I'm helping you, and I'm helping grow the Army in the process. Okay? Give us a shot. Hopefully I talk to you here in the next couple of days. Peace out, guys.